welcome everyone to this first virtual event with the Bookcase. I'm so happy to invite you to join me with these three wonderful best-selling authors, and they all have a local connection, which is wonderful. Lucy Diamond grew up in Nottingham. Cathy Bramley lives just a 5-minute drive from the Bookcase, and Fanny Blake spent many of her growing up years actually living in Lowdham, so you can't get more local than that. And it's really wonderful to be together, even if we're only on screen. So one day, I'm determined we will do this in person, ladies.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So thank you all very much for joining us. And I thought it would be really nice if we just ask you to tell us a little bit about your path to becoming a writer, each of you. And shall we start with you, Cathy? Is that okay?
Okay. Okay, probably the least conventional person in terms of route to writing. But, I spent many years in marketing and PR, had my own business, and I was looking for a new challenge. I'd never considered writing as a career. I just assumed it wasn't for me. But I'd been a massive reader all my life, always got a book on the go. And a few things happened. I ended up writing a blog when we built our own house. I really enjoyed the writing of it and enjoyed the audience's reaction to that. And once we'd finished building our house, which we now live in, I thought, what am I going to do next? How about giving writing a go? And it was the hardest thing I'd ever done, and I really didn't think I was going to be able to do anything more than scribble, a first draft. But I loved it, and I, practiced, and now I've got 11 novels published. So.
Fantastic story, it really is. Hey, what about you? Because you've had a long career in the sort of book industry in a wide sense, haven't you? So where did the writing start? Yes.
Well, I didn't think I was going to be a writer at all. I was an editor and worked for a long time in publishing, most recently at, which is still a long time ago now, at Penguin. And then I left and became a journalist, and eventually, long story short, ended up writing ghosting celebrity autobiographies and writing TV tie-ins and sort of journalisty kind of jobs. But the last ones were the celebrity autobiographies, and I just thought the time has come to write something for yourself, not, maybe there is a novel sort of percolating underneath. And I had a significant birthday coming up, and I thought, I'm going to do it by that birthday. And I found that ghosting those autobiographies, I should say, in fact, was incredibly helpful because it taught me a lot about structure and voice and character. And so I was able to kind of use those things when I came to write my first novel. And I was in a taxi on that birthday when my agent phoned and said she got me.
Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. What a great birthday present.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Amazing. Oh, that's really good. I love those kind of stories. Lucy, what about you?
I worked in publishing too. I was an editor of children's books. I've always loved books, an English degree. So it was bliss working with other people's books. And part of my job was reading through the slush pile at first. So I was going through all these, and this is like pre-internet, so people would send in their manuscripts and I'd read them all. And I really got a feel for good and bad writing, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And being an editor, I just learned loads of sort of tricks about, ending shaping a book to make it better, ending a chapter on a cliffhanger to keep the reader turning the pages, sort of thing. So I just started to think, gosh, it must be really lovely to be an author. I really wanted to have a go. So I started off writing children's books, had quite a few published under my real name, Sue Mongredian. And then it wasn't until I had children of my own and I was sort of a mum at home, left my job at the BBC, and I started an evening class in novel writing just to get out of the house once a week, without someone crying on my shoulder, And it was brilliant. And I started writing about how I was feeling as a mum and how my life had changed, and sort of all those feelings poured into what became my first novel. And it was really doing the class and having to turn up every week and show that I'd written another chapter, or having people on my course reading my work and critiquing it. That was just so brilliant. I mean, it was terrifying, but really was the impetus to force me to carry on and have a proper go.
I'm very impressed because I think you had children very close together, didn't you? Didn't you have a 1-year-old and a baby? I'm really impressed that you managed to find the headspace.
Well, I was
the energy.
desperate to make the headspace, you know, when you've just been pureeing vegetables and wiping bums and cleaning, and I just like really desperate to use my brain again. So it was really
brilliant. Oh, lovely. I think people often ask me in the bookshop if I've got ambitions to be a writer, and I definitely know that that is not my forte. I'm a reader. So thank you for writing these wonderful books that we can read. You're all every bookseller's dream, because you know they're so easy to recommend and sell, and yes, we're indebted to you three.
Oh,
I mean that.
Thank you.
But I've been thinking about your lives are fairly solitary in your work, aren't they? Because the writing life is a solitary one. So do you think that's made it easier to cope with the situation we're in, or how has it affected you as a writer? Has it had an impact on you, you know, in a way that you wouldn't have expected? Cathy, should we just go back to you? We'll go alphabetically.
Well, I've actually quite enjoyed the lockdown in a lot of ways, because I quite like being at home, and I like the pressure taken off me not to go out. I quite like that aspect of it. I'm getting to the point where I'm looking forward to, you know, being able to hug my parents again. That would be really nice. But in terms of working, I guess, we're all set up, aren't we, at home? So we've got all the IT we need to do our jobs. We've got everything. We're used to it. We're used to, you know, the discipline of getting up in the morning, separating work from home. But what I've had is my children come back early from university/school with not much to do, their boyfriends coming round, and my husband being around all the time. So my lovely solitary life, which I cherished, has been gradually chipped away at. So I'm just really glad that I've not been writing a first draft during the last 3 months. I handed one in. My editor has young children, so I said, don't send it me back with your editorial report, you know, you've got other things to do, please. And I've just been plotting my next one, and I've written 13,000 words of the new one, but I'm really writing it in very small chunks of the day, whereas normally I'd spend all day writing. Now I'm just like, right, this is my writing time, really short bursts. And so writing wise, I found it very difficult.
That's really interesting. What about you, Fanny? How has it impacted on you as a writer?
Well, I don't have any children. My children have long left home, so I haven't had any of that, and so my life has been pretty much as it normally is, except obviously not going out. And but the only thing is, and I've been working on edits on a novel, quite substantial edits, but I have to say that I found it incredibly difficult to concentrate. I think that's what I found. I've had the time, I've had the space, I'm perfectly happy, you know, being on my husband's here, but he's a writer as well, so we're both sort of at opposite ends of the house writing. That's all great, but I mean, I've been doing it, but it's been really hard.
It's the head.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you know, and it's really interesting because you're used to that life, but it's just psychologically so different at the moment. And that,
exactly. And the little bits of news every morning, and you think, oh God, what's going to happen? You know, it's sort of running through your mind.
Everybody, I'm sure you follow Fanny on Instagram, but I love your walks, Fanny. I like seeing your photographs of your walks. That's a lovely moment in the day.
Yeah, it's my favourite moment of the day.
Yeah. Lucy, how about you? How old are your children now? Are they
well, similar to Cathy, I'm used to writing at home on my own, peace and quiet, but now I've got husband and 3 teenagers here too. And you know, they are, you know, 19, nearly 18 and 15, so they are you know, they get on with things themselves, but their lives are in turmoil with, you know, my son was meant to be doing his A-levels this summer, and my eldest was her first year at uni's been interrupted, and my youngest is in year 10, and she seems to be the only one doing any work, which is a bit tough for her. So I found it quite hard to concentrate at first, and also I found it really hard to be creative with this ongoing massive anxiety that I think the whole country felt, certainly at first. It's real, God, this is what's going to happen, you know, can I get food? Can I feed everybody? I was worried about that for ages. And So yeah, I found that really odd. I was sort of finishing something, so that's fine. And then I wrote a really cheering, uplifting, silly children's book, just speculative, just for my own amusement, really, just because it was really lovely to escape into this daft, magical world. And then I have started writing a new first draft, but even that, a new novel, but even that at times has felt a bit frivolous. I don't know if you two found that, but I felt it seemed a bit of an indulgence, like making up a story when, you know, we live really near a hospital, and I kept seeing nurses and doctors going into work and thinking, gosh, I'm not really doing a proper job. I'm just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people say, you know, books are escapism, and I've certainly really turned to books. They've really helped me through this. So books are important, but they're not as important. We're not saving anyone's lives, are we, by chapter 1? So, mixed feelings.
I will tell you that the biggest thing that people have said when they're ordering books and now able to come back into the shop is they just want to escape. They don't want to, you know, read about serious kind of politics and that kind of thing. They want to read about things that are away from what's going on here. So I would say that what you're doing and have done is a really valuable thing, because it's giving people some happiness and some
thank you.
feeling of, yes, there is that other kind of lovely world out there. So,
but also from a writing point of view, you know, we were all sitting at home seeing all these bookshops closing and the suppliers to the bookshops, and it's heartbreaking, you know, because we love the book industry, and to sit at home and watch that and everybody suffering, you know, that's quite hard as well. Saying it's that whole anxiety of, you know, seeing things on the news and then sort of having to be really uplifting in your own novel can be quite hard sometimes.
Yes, you've got to kind of put yourself into that happy mode to be writing. It is lovely to have the door of the bookshop open again, I must say.
I bet,
Everybody's enjoying that. Very lucky. So let's talk about your actual book. So I thought it would be lovely if you all tell us a little bit about your most recent book and the kind of inspiration behind it, how you came to write that story. So Cathy, back to you.
Okay. Mine's A Patchwork Family, which came out in March, and it's a story about, it was actually inspired by Old People's Home for 4-year-olds, which is the Channel 4 documentary. There's been 2 series of it now, and where they actually set up a nursery in an old people's home, and that just the relationship between the old peoples and the children, and seeing the old people, you know, what was important to them, the fact that they hadn't been hugged for ages, the fact that they'd not seen anything new for years, because it was all old to them, and then seeing it through a child's eyes gave them a new lease of life. So I love that program, and so I put that idea together with someone wanted me to set another book. One of my readers, lots of readers wanted another book near the Lemon Tree Cafe, which was a couple of years ago, and so there was a childminder in that. So I saw an opportunity to bring those 2 themes together. So I've written A Patchwork Family and it's about, you know, the fact that family is not just our relatives, but it's the people we love. And it's like, you know, it takes, and how much love is a part of being in a family, really. And it's also about finding your voice and not being afraid to use it. There you go.
Good, wonderful. A good taster. Fanny, what about you? I know you've got a book that's just about to come out, have you?
Well, no, that won't be until next year.
Been delayed, right.
So
okay.
the
summer reunion.
I just want to say I love this book so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Well, I was inspired to write this because I think you kind of reach a certain age and suddenly people start having school reunions. And I thought, originally, I thought, why? I don't want to go to a school reunion. Now, that's in my past. But then I was tempted by 3 other people who I hadn't seen since I was 16, and we met, and it was great. And it's very peculiar meeting people who knew you when you were a child, because you don't have any of that. They know all your background, and they know your mum and dad, and they know your sister, and they know. You know, it's not like meeting somebody when you're in your 30s. It's when you've got all that stuff hidden away and you can choose which bits to give them. Anyway, and then I went to another couple of reunions, and equally fascinating finding out what people had done with their lives and so on. And I just got to think, what if, though, you had a school reunion, just 3 or 4 of you, but there was something that happened at school that had never been resolved. And that perhaps it wasn't going to be quite such a nice reunion after all. So I decided to take 4 women, one of whom decides to ask the other 3 to her villa in Mallorca. The other 3 all have reasons to want to go away for a long weekend. And they all arrive, and Amy, the hostess, she has her own agenda completely. And so basically then secrets come out of the woodwork. They have to confront their past, they have to confront each other, and they have to decide whether or not they want to kind of take a chance at a second life, if you like. Yeah. So it's about friendship, particularly friendship among older women, motherhood, families, marriages.
It is. It's such a great read. I really loved it. I've still got friends from those school days, and yes, sometimes I could really identify with some of the themes in your book, and it's a great read, everybody. Yes, so thank you. Thanks, Fanny. That's really interesting. And Lucy, your latest book.
This is An Almost Perfect Holiday, and it came out in the end of May. And it was inspired when I was on holiday, must be 2 years ago, I guess. Lying by a pool in the sun, lovely villa, and I just could hear the couple in the villa next door arguing. And I just thought, God, what is it? We try so hard, don't we, every year to go, this is the year, everything's gonna be amazing, you know, really try and plan for this perfect holiday. And I think actually women put ourselves under a lot of pressure to put on the perfect holiday for our families. So I just thought, oh, that'd be quite interesting to set a novel amid some neighbouring holiday cottages in Cornwall. And the novel is spread over a week, a week and a bit, and it's about all the people coming to holiday in those cottages and their stories. And they all start off separate, but their storylines sort of interweave as they get to know each other, and secrets emerge, loyalties are tested. There's family drama, there's friendship and love, and just good old juicy drama all around a pool in lovely Cornwall.
We love secrets emerging, don't we?
We do. There's always, everyone's got a few secrets.
Endlessly fascinating, yeah.
I think both Fanny's and Lucy's book are just the perfect books for this summer, because a lot of people aren't going to be able to get away, are they? No. So you can read sort of novels, particularly where it's set on holiday, and just feel like it's a bit of armchair travel, isn't it? It's just that, and you can throw yourself straight away and identifies with so many themes. You know, you've got Mallorca, you've got Cornwall, and those lovely holidays that we are missing out on at the moment. So perfect.
Thanks, Cathy. That's very generous of you.
One of the lovely events that we do at our book festival every year, which we would just have done last week, is a reading group morning. And Fanny has been very kind and chaired that for me for quite a few years, haven't you, Fanny? I think you've done 3 or 4 now. Yeah. It's the biggest event that I've had comments about, and people saying, oh, we really missed the reading group morning. You know, it was such a lovely morning. So
it's much fun.
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting to talk about reading groups. And do any of you belong to a reading group? And do you have contact with lots of reading groups? Do you find you get, you know, kind of emails and messages from reading groups? I was just interested to know what that factor is like in your writing life. Cathy?
I'd love to be a member of a book group, book club. No one's ever asked me.
I'm so sorry. Terrible.
I have actually thought about setting up my own, and then I thought people are going to go, well, no, because she probably wants us to read her book. So I'm not, you know, I am stuck in limbo, wanting to be in a book club, but never having been asked. Putting it out there, but I've been asked to sometimes, you know, I'll ask a load of questions, or answer some questions. And in fact, there is a Nottingham book club that meet in one of the pubs in town. But they're doing their next meeting by Zoom. They've been working by Zoom for the last few weeks. And I've said, well, can I come on Zoom? So I'm going to actually attend a book club meeting
that's great.
in a few weeks. So I'm very, very pleased about that. But other than that, not really. So probably other people are better at answering this question than me.
Well, I feel terrible. I mean, I don't actually run a book group, and I feel so bad that I've never talked to you about that. I'm so sorry. Fanny, what about you? Because you used to edit.
Well, I do actually belong to 2 book groups, and I've always shied away from them because of having been a publisher, and then I've reviewed for a women's magazine for a long time. So I've always had piles of books, and I still review for the Mail. So I've always got sort of a pile of books that I need to read for work. And I haven't really wanted that added pressure, which I have to say it is, having to read an extra book for a book group. But I also belong to a book group where we don't read any books, and we meet for dinner, and there are 5 of us, and we meet for dinner. We have a theme. So let's say, oh God, I can't think of anything else, and my mind has gone completely blank.
Paris.
Paris. And and each of us brings our favourite book about Paris, novel about Paris. We wrap it up so you can't see what it is, and we write out clues on postcard, and we arrive, order the drinks, put the books in the middle of the table, read out our card, and people kind of go, oh, I like the sound of that. Can I take that? And then we have supper together and just chat. And we talk about books, I mean, incidentally, but we haven't read anything specific.
That's
so
a great
just
idea.
take a book, and then we just take away a book. And if you've read the one that you take, if you open it and you've already read it, then we swap about. So everybody takes home something they haven't read. It's great.
Gosh, that would make a really nice event as well. I'm always thinking.
Yes. Dinner with a mystery book.
Have it. It's brilliant, honestly.
Thank you.
It's really, and it's such fun.
Yes.
Because people
how are you managing that?
They really love.
Are you managing that on Zoom, or are you?
Well, yeah, we have done it on Zoom, and what we've done is we have we've done it once, but we are going to do it again. And we ordered the books to be sent through an independent bookshop. Note.
Thank you.
And on the address thing, you had to put the person's name with. It's called the Nearest and Dearest Book Club. Nearest and Dearest. So they didn't open the package. And then we all got together with the drink, and we opened our packages in front of the screen.
Oh,
brilliant! Thank you for sharing that one. That's
really fun. It's really good fun.
What about you, Lucy, or Sue? I don't know what to call you.
Yeah, it's confusing, isn't it? Yeah, I'm in a book group with friends. I was in 2, but it was just too much. I just couldn't commit to. Also, the other book group kept picking books I just didn't want to read.
That is the danger.
Yeah, I know. But my book group, we're a bit of a shambolic book group. It's 5 of us again, and we try and meet sort of every month, 6 weeks. It's just really finding the date that's difficult. And they're all really good friends, so we just tend to like chat for about 2 hours, drink wine, and then someone says, "Oh God, what about the book? Anyone read the book?" So the book
that's a common thing, isn't
less of a focus than actual the social event. But yeah, no, we've done one Zoom together, but it wasn't really the same. So we're just hopefully going to meet up soon when we're allowed.
Actually, it's funny you should say Paris, because our book group did actually go to Paris for the day.
I know you did, which is why I said it.
Group.
I think this is the beauty of reading groups, is that people go to them for different reasons. You know, they're all completely different things that you've mentioned. And sometimes I get people coming into the shop saying, I want to join your reading group, but I want to actually talk about the book. Sometimes people will want, one that's a mixed reading group. They do tend to be very female dominated, don't they? We find. Yeah, but we have got, for anybody watching this, we do have a separate mailing list for reading groups, and we now have 65 reading groups connected to the shop. I don't run them. Don't run away with them. We have a separate, way of communicating with them. So for our reading group morning that Fanny has been involved with, that's a really nice way of connecting with them. And often we'll get publishers sending, multiple copies of a proof, and we can send that out.
Great.
So, we really love the whole reading group connection at the shop. And we have had a go at running them ourselves, but it hasn't just quite taken off. And I think, again, it's committing to that sort of reading something that you might not necessarily have chosen, which I know is a really good thing. But it's, I read a lot of contemporary fiction to try to keep up with what to recommend. So that's my kind of own little private reading group.
I didn't realise that publishers would send multiple proofs. That's really good.
Very, very good at that. And I think, because I see all the reps, you know, from all the sales teams, then by having that connection, they know that we have a big reading group kind of community here. So yeah, it's always been a large part of it. Good.
The authors, when I have been at those reading days, the authors whose books the book clubs, they love that day.
They're very brave, aren't they, Fanny?
It's the most satisfying day for the person who's I mean,
that's wonderful. I always really admire them, because we make them. I'll just tell you what we do. We have a sort of little introduction and a short reading, and then we have about 40 minutes where the groups all sit around their tables and discuss the book over tea and coffee, and they've already read it, obviously. And then the author in that time goes and sits at each table and has a few minutes with each group. So it's incredibly brave of them, because, you know, not always be like, oh, we love your book. But we've had wonderful people, and this year we were going to have Fanny's great friend Elizabeth Buchan, with the Museum of Broken Promises, which is such a wonderful book. But we will do all these things one day.
Yeah.
We will one day.
We won't forget them. So thank you. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about your reading life as well as your. I know we've talked about book groups, but how has lockdown? Has it been a reading time for you? Have you found it hard to read? I've had so many different comments in the shop from people. And people reading, and some people not being able to read at all. And I wondered what your reading life is like at the moment, and if you've got a favourite lockdown read that's helped you.
Well, I really struggled at first. I really struggled to settle to reading, but then gradually I got back into it. And when I started to, you know, think we're okay, nothing terrible is going to happen right now. I've got a stack here, because I'm terrible at remembering names, but I've put a stack here. I've read A Wedding at the Beach Hut by Veronica Henry, which I absolutely adored. Family for Beginners, actually read earlier in the year, by Sarah Morgan, which is a super book, really great, set in the Lake District and New York, which is great. Rosie Blake, who's actually Cheska Major, she's written a fabulous book called The Gin O'Clock Club, which I'm fond of a G&T myself, so that went down very well. And Carol Matthews has just got a new book out, which I read a few weeks ago, and that's called Sunny Days and Sea Breezes, which is brilliant. And then I also listen to Audible as I go to sleep, and bizarrely, I like thrillers at that time when I'm going to just go to sleep. So I'm reading the latest. I know, The Guest List by Lucy Foley, which is really brilliant.
Oh, yeah, looking forward to that.
Really enjoying that. So yeah, that's my lockdown reading schedule.
Brilliant. Fanny, what about you?
Yeah, I haven't had any trouble reading. I think it's so ingrained in me. I mean, because it's been work for so long, but it's just sort of habit, really. And I've read a lot, but the two books that I've read and absolutely loved, my books of the year, which are just about to be published, so I think it's all right to say them. One is Miss Benson's Beetle by Rachel Joyce. Yeah. It's just wonderful. It's a real jeu d'esprit, and it's funny, it's touching, it's bonkers about a woman who goes with her friend to look for a golden beetle on the other side of the world, and all sorts of obstacles fall in their way. And it's absolutely fantastic. And the other one that I have loved is Lissa Evans' V for Victory.
Oh yes,
he's a brilliant writer.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both absolutely on the at the top of their game, I think, with these two books. And V for Victory is the third in the trilogy that began with Crooked Heart. And it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Right. Funny, brilliantly written, perfectly executed.
Oh, thank you. Rachel has sent me some beautiful postcards ready for when we get Miss Benson's Beetle to sell.
Oh, she'd be a brilliant book club person.
Yes, she has been to us. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to read that. Thank you.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Lucy, what about you?
Yeah, well, when lockdown started, I went into a bit of a panic. I sort of, well, I mustn't run out of books. I just ordered so many. I was like, bring me the books. I imagined being in a sort of fortress and not being able to get out at all. So I did order loads, and I also thought, right, this is my chance to finally read Middlemarch. I've tried it a few times. Everyone says it's the best book ever, and I've never been able to finish it. And
bet you haven't.
Maybe next week.
Okay, you can tell us.
I have read loads of brilliant books, and it has been a huge comfort and solace to me to escape into a book. And I've just read such a brilliant book, actually, called Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I don't know if you've read that. It's so good. It's about a young, she's sort of 30, maybe late 20s. She's a writer and she's sort of down on her luck. Her mum's died, so she's dealing with grief and loneliness. She's got a rubbish job as a waitress, and she's been trying for 6 years to write a novel. And she's sort of, it's so beautifully written. I kept thinking it was a memoir. You know, the imagery is so crisp and vivid, and it's really transportive. And I absolutely loved it. So, and she's a new author for me, Lily King. And I actually received this book from my local independent bookshop, Mr. B's in Bath. They do a reading subscription. So of course at the beginning I was like signing up for everything. I was like, I wanted to support them, so I've signed up for a reading subscription where you get a new hardback every month that they choose for you. So that was their pick, and it's absolutely wonderful. What else have I enjoyed? Hamnet, Maggie O'Farrell, and I also just read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, which I thought was brilliant.
Oh yes.
And really good. And I'm looking forward to the new Ali Smith, which is out next month. And also Emma Straub. I've just discovered her as well. She's got a new one this month, I think, called what's it called? All Adults Here. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Great recommendations, basically. It's been very interesting from my point of view, hearing what people have been reading and seeing what people have ordered. Lots of people like you, Lucy, at the beginning just ordered loads and loads of books when we closed, which was obviously wonderful for me. And it was a real mix. And then as the weeks have gone on, it's changed a little bit. So it's been really fascinating experience, really, to watch that different reading life for people. But I've just finished, a little while ago, reading a book by your also lovely friend, Fanny, Janet Ellis.
Oh, yes,
her latest, How It Was, which is so different from The Butcher's Hook, her book that she came to talk to us about. I loved it. It's dark, isn't it? She's a very clever writer, but she makes me laugh out loud as well. She's got this very quirky humour, which I love. And predictably, in a way, lots and lots of reading groups at the moment are choosing Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh yes.
Either heard.
Wonderful.
It's a really beautiful book. Not a new book, no, but been at the top of the list for a long time now. So that's been a big one for reading groups, definitely. But we're so lucky, aren't we, to be in this industry where we have this means of escape. I think I've counted my blessings many times the last few weeks. Oh gosh, it's been fantastic. I think we're running out of time a little bit now, but it's been really, really lovely to chat to all of you. Thank you so much for making the time to do that. And for everybody watching, I just want you to know that we've got a very special offer, which we will put on the screen later, but it's a 3 for 2 on the 3 latest books that you've all heard about. So please, contact me at the bookshop, and we'll put out the details of that, and follow us all on Instagram and Facebook and all those things, because it's wonderful to keep in touch with all the readers and all our customers like this as well. So a very big thank you. I really look forward to the day when we can have a wonderful coffee and cake with all our customers, who I know will love to meet you all. And again, thanks for making the time, and thanks to Cathy for being our events technician.
Oh, yes, thanks both of you.
You're welcome.
No, thank you very much
for inviting me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.